sound. 1 minute. We'll fix it. No sound. 1 minute. It's okay? Now it says it's okay. Control desk says it's okay. There is a problem with the sound. I can't hear you, says everybody. So does Facebook. Facebook also says no sound. Oh no. 1 second. 1 second. Okay.
It's working.
It says, our control desk says it's working, but everybody is saying no sound. Everybody's saying no sound. Now it says good. Someone says good. No, now everyone says no sound. Okay, yes. Okay, yes. Okay, yes or no? Yes, okay. Now even chat desk is now saying yeah. Okay, good. Thanks, everybody. Thanks. Sorry. Okay, now that we have sound again, thank you, everybody. Thank you for letting us know. Now that we have sound again, I'll do the introduction. Welcome back to our weekly live stream. My name is Alicia, and today we're going to do a beginner grammar review. So as you join, please don't forget to hit the like and share buttons so everyone can follow and find today's lesson. Great. As we take maybe 1 more minute to give other people a chance to join, quick, I wanted to share with you guys, as always, I try to share something every week, but I shared this yesterday. This was our first day back in the studio yesterday, and we were making new Ask Alicia videos. So I was going through lots of questions from everybody for yesterday's video making session. But if you have other questions, please don't forget to send those along to englishclass101.com/ask-Alicia. Okay, so with that out of the way, today's focus is beginner grammar practice, a beginner grammar review. So I'm going to focus on speaking slowly, and we're going to look at 3 main grammar points today. Today we're going to look at simple present tense, we're going to look at simple past tense, and we're going to look at simple future tense. So today I want to practice making some very basic sentences, but I want to review like the key ways that we make these kinds of sentences. And I hope that you, if you're a super beginner, you can use today's grammar to make small sentences about your everyday life. So I am going to share the video, and then I am going to begin by talking about simple present tense. So to begin with simple present tense though, we use simple present tense to do a couple of different things. I'll show you this diagram in just a moment. We use simple present tense to, 1, talk about your regular schedule. So regular schedule here, this means, for example, like your work schedule or your study schedule, your school schedule. So on this diagram, I have this point, the star is now. So now is this point in time, today, here, watching this live stream live or not. So this is the present now. We use simple present tense to talk about things that happen regularly. So for example, every week I teach a live stream, this live stream. So teach is my verb. Teach is simple present tense. I do not use teaching. I do not use I'm teaching. I use I teach. So simple present tense verbs are used for these regular actions. So this could be every day. It could be every week, every month, every year, every hour, something that's a common part of your schedule. So every Monday or every Tuesday. We use these to talk about the regular parts of our schedule. So a really great way to practice simple present tense is to think of your daily schedule. So I wake up at 8 o'clock. I go to work at 9:30. I eat lunch at 12 o'clock, and so on. These are very good ways, I think, to practice using simple present tense. So we use it for that. That's point 1 here. Then we also use simple present tense to talk about general facts. General facts. So this means things that are true. So a great example is like, she speaks English. She speaks English. That's a fact. So speak is my verb in that sentence. Speaks is the simple present tense form, and it's conjugated for the subject she. She speaks English. That's a general fact. So these are the two basic uses of simple present tense. So please remember these 2 points for today's lesson especially. I want to continue then talking about how to make simple present tense. So here I have subject. So in my example sentence, for example, just now I said, she speaks English. She speaks English. So when we make a simple present tense statement, when we make a simple present tense statement, we need to think about the subject. So when the subject of your sentence is, for example, I, like in my example sentence, I said, I wake up, I eat lunch, I teach a live stream. When the subject of the sentence is I, for example, as in many of your cases, you're talking about your everyday schedule, you simply use I plus your verb. I plus your verb. So I eat, I speak, I teach. This is a very basic subject and verb pair. And of course, we can add something else. For example, I speak English. I teach this live stream. So when your subject is I, just add the verb. No change to your verb here. However, when your subject, as I said, is she, for example, she, or he, or it. So in these cases, talking about someone else. So you're not talking about yourself. She, her schedule, for example, or his schedule, or an object, it. When your subject is she, he, or it, we have to change the verb. So instead of just adding the basic form of the verb here, we need to add an S to the verb. So this is a plus. So we use the verb plus an S sound. So I'm writing S on the board here. Yes, S. This is an S. But depending on the verb, the spelling changes a little bit. So think of this for now as an S sound. We add an S sound when the subject is she, he, or it. For example, she speaks English, or he walks in the neighborhood, or it looks good, for example. So when your subject is she, he, or it, please use verb plus S. You can send some example sentences in the chat too, if you like. I will try to check your example sentences. We can make a negative as well. So these are positive sentences. I teach English. She speaks English. To make a negative then, to make a negative statement, we need to change these two sentences. To make the negative form, if your subject is I, for example, I don't teach Spanish. Before the verb, right here, so my verb is here. In this case, I want to say teach. Before my verb, right here, I include don't. Don't. I don't teach Spanish, unfortunately. I don't teach Spanish. So when my subject is I, when I want to talk about me and my life, I use don't before my verb. I don't speak Spanish. I don't teach Spanish. Here, however, when my subject is she, he, or it, we have to make a different change. So I can't use don't, she don't, or he don't. That's not correct. Don't is used when the subject is I. If your subject is he, she, or it, we add a different word before the verb, doesn't. Doesn't. She doesn't speak Italian. He doesn't speak French. Great, nice one. She doesn't pay attention. Good, good. Okay, so for these, I have used just I and she, he, or it. But some of you in the chat are using some other subjects. For example, you. You. When you use you as the subject, we follow this pattern here. So let's add another one to my subject list here. I or you. I or you. So you look, you speak. This follows the same pattern as the I subject. So when you use he, she, or it, you need to add this S. To make the negative, we'll use doesn't. Good. My cat doesn't eat cheese. Nice example sentence. That's interesting. Good, good. So let's practice then using this grammar point in these 4 simple statements. So the first one here, try to send it in the chat. You can send it quickly if you like. The first verb here is work. Work. So how do we make work into a sentence with I here, a very simple phrase? In this case, I work is correct alone. So no change to the verb here. No change. Because the subject of this sentence is I. So I work is correct. Here though, my subject is he. My verb is study. Study. So we learned here, when the subject is he or she or it, to make a positive statement, we use verb plus an S sound. Verb plus an S sound. So in this case, he plus study becomes he studies. He studies. In this case, because study ends in Y, we change the spelling. Here, we drop Y and add I-E-S. Nice, yeah, everybody's writing he studies. Perfect, perfect, great. Studies is correct. He studies at night. Hey Harley, hi, long time no see. He studies, good. Be careful of your spelling. He studies, not apostrophe S. He S-T-U-D-I-E-S. I-E-S. Check the chat for the correct spelling. Lots of people are writing the correct spelling there. Okay, let's try then a negative. The next example here is this negative. I have exercise. My subject is she. This, it's hard to see, sorry, this says N-E-G, negative, negative. So let's use this pattern I talked about here. How do we make the negative form with the verb exercise and the subject she? So to do this, she plus doesn't, to make this negative, she doesn't exercise. So when we make the negative form, there is no S sound. Exactly, nice one. Mustafa wrote, she doesn't exercise. Exactly. So when you make the negative form, even if your subject is she, he, or it, there is no S when you make a negative statement. Exactly, right. Everybody's writing it in the chat. Nice, she doesn't exercise. Yes, or she does not exercise. So if you can, reduce this. She doesn't exercise. That sounds much more natural. She doesn't exercise. Does not is also correct, but doesn't sounds much more natural. So try to reduce where possible. Okay, finally, some of you are already going to the last one. When the subject is you and the last verb here is cook, cook. When the subject is you, we have the same pattern here, yeah? With I. So no change to the verb. That means you cook. You cook. So this is a review of simple present tense. Simple present tense. Yeskish, you don't cook if it's a negative sentence. It's negative. Nice. Okay. Luis, can I use I'm working at Bank ABC? If it's your regular job, please use simple present tense. I work at Bank ABC. If you're not, if it's not part of your regular job, if it's for today only, I'm working at Bank ABC today. Okay, good. We'll finish there. I wanted to talk about one more point, but that's going to take too much time. So, simple present tense, a quick review of simple present tense. If you want to know more about simple present tense, please check the English Class 101 channel. Please search the channel for simple present tense. I made a lesson about this like a year and a half ago, so please check the lesson to practice more with this. Okay, let's move on then to a break. It's time for a break. So today, instead of the regular PDFs I show you, today there is this banner. If you're watching on Instagram, you can't see this, so please check YouTube or Facebook. There is a special sale on the YouTube channel, on the website, on the Facebook page too. There is a challenge, because it's January, there's a challenge for 2019, and there's a special sale on the website for premium and for premium plus subscriptions. So it's 45% off these subscriptions. You can find all the details about this sale in the link below the video on YouTube or above the video on Facebook. So please check the link and you can get 45% off the regular price of subscriptions on EnglishClass101.com. So if you want to learn more about today's grammar points, for example, and get like lesson notes and other like audio guides, transcripts, an app, and so on, you can find this from the link in the description. Okay, let's continue on to the second part, the second grammar point for today's lesson. So if you're just joining, today is a beginner grammar review. I talked about simple present tense to start. Now I'm going to talk about simple past tense, simple past tense. So if you have not yet, please make sure to like and share the video. We always appreciate it so other people can find it. Okay, let's continue on. I'm going to switch red markers because this one is very good. Let's continue on to simple past tense. Point 2 for today, simple past tense. Okay, simple past tense, I'll come to this in just a moment. We use simple past tense for actions that started and ended in the past. Actions that started and ended, or finished is also okay. So, on this diagram here, again, this is now, this is the past, this is the future. For this grammar point, we're going to talk about this time period between the past and now. So here's a start point for the action and a finish point. So this action is done, it's finished, it's over. So for example, I could say, I taught, simple present tense. So I taught. Taught is the past tense of teach, teach. So here I said, I teach this live stream every week. But the past tense of teach is taught. So I use simple past tense to talk about an action that started and finished in the past. I taught, simple present tense. So we can use this to talk about repeated actions in the past as well. So if an action started and finished, or if we did the same action every week in the past, we can use simple past tense to talk about that. We can add a word like every day, or every week, or every summer, or every month, and so on. So, I taught English every week last year, for example. That's a simple past statement. Okay, let's move on to the next point, which is making. So we practiced making simple present tense. I want to practice making simple past tense now. So to make simple past tense, again, we have our subject, but let's not worry too much about the subject right now. Let's focus, for this grammar point, let's focus on the verb here. So when we make a simple past tense statement, as I just did, I taught English, or let's choose a different verb for now. Let's see, so like walk, like I walked from the station today. We need to use verb plus ed. So this pattern, we have the basic verb, in my case, walk. So for example, walk, plus ed becomes walked, walked. So this is the pattern we use for regular verbs, regular verbs. We add an ed, ed. There are 3 different pronunciations for this ed sound. As I just said, there's walked, that t sound, walked. There's a d sound, a soft d sound like breathed. And then there's an id sound as well. So id, t, and d are the possible endings for ed sounds. Okay, so when we make a simple past tense statement with this, we add our subject here to make a very simple statement. Subject plus verb plus ed. So I walked. He listened. Yeah, someone has a question. Regular verbs. By this, regular verbs means verbs which use this pattern. Verbs which use this pattern. However, I mentioned in my example sentence the verb teach. So teach is not a regular verb. The verb teach does not use this ed pattern. So teach is not correct. Teach is not a regular verb. Teach has a special past tense form. Teach becomes taught, as I said. So the difficult point about these irregular, not regular verbs is there's not a rule. There's no rule for changing to past tense. We have to practice and memorize these verbs. So there are regular verbs and irregular verbs. We have to practice these. So as you study verbs, you can remember, is this a regular verb or is this an irregular verb? Does it have a special ending? So how do I practice this? What do I do? So every new verb you learn, as you study it, you need to memorize how to make the past tense form. A good resource, maybe, you can check on the YouTube channel. There's a series called Know Your Verbs, Know Your Verbs. So in that series, I explain all the conjugation. So conjugation means the changes, the different tense changes for the verb. Okay. Someone said, can I use the repeated action simple present tense instead of simple past tense? Well, it depends on your situation. Like, do you want to talk about something true now or something true in the past? So I teach every week. That's true now. I taught every week. Maybe that was true in the past. So it depends on your situation. What do you want to communicate? So this is basic verb conjugation to make a positive statement, a positive statement. As we practiced with simple present tense earlier, we have to change the sentence, change the phrase to make a negative statement. In simple present tense, we used don't and doesn't to make a simple present tense negative statement. But here, in past tense, again, we put our negative word before the verb and don't change the verb. But the word we use is didn't. Didn't. It's hard to see, sorry. The spelling is D-I-D-N-O-T. Did not, or D-I-D-N apostrophe T. Did not, or didn't. Didn't. I didn't. He didn't. She didn't. And when we make the negative form, there is no change to the verb. No change. When do you use did? We use did for emphasis, like I did see you, or I did talk to you. So you use that only to emphasize a past action. To make a simple past tense statement, you don't need to use did. So Brazilian guy in the YouTube chat, I had breakfast this morning. I had breakfast this morning. So let's practice this point. Let's practice making simple past tense. So we have this negative, didn't. There's only one change for negative forms. So let's try. First one, same verbs. Our same verbs. We're going to use the same verb. First one is work. Work. So some of you know. If you don't know, is this a regular verb or an irregular verb? Work. Work. So subject I. Let's make it past tense. I work. I know there's some delay, but the correct answer here is worked. Worked. I worked. I worked. So work is a regular verb. We add ed. Ed to make the past tense form. Simple past tense. I worked. Yes. Good. Okay, nice. Yes, everyone's writing I worked. I worked. Okay, good. You can see the next verb, same one, study. Study. So here, study, I mentioned this Y rule in our present tense portion, the Y rule here. Oh my gosh, it's already 11:30. the Y rule. So we have to change the spelling here, but Y does follow the ED pattern, the regular verb pattern. Okay. So he studied. He studied. Studied. So the spelling here again, the spelling here again, we drop Y, we remove Y, we replace with I-E-D. He studied. Studied is the spelling. Yeah, nice. Everybody's got it in YouTube chat and Facebook chat. Nice job, everybody. So yes, the spelling changes when the verb ends in Y. Studied. Okay. The spelling is a little irregular, yes, but it follows the ED pattern. Okay, let's go. I'm going to switch sides. Let's go to this one. Exercise. Again, let's make it negative. Hard to see. This is N-E-G, negative. How do we make exercise negative, past tense? My subject is she. She plus what to make it exercise? We use didn't plus a verb to make the negative form of the past tense. So, in this case, the answer is she didn't exercise. She didn't exercise is how we make a simple negative past tense statement. She didn't exercise. Nice. Good job, everybody. She didn't exercise. Perfect, perfect. And yes, she did not exercise. That's also okay. But again, try to reduce. Didn't sounds more natural. Didn't. Good, 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 good. Everybody's writing didn't exercise. Good, nice. Okay. Andy on YouTube wrote she doesn't exercise. She doesn't exercise is a simple present tense statement. She didn't exercise is a past tense. This was a past action. She doesn't exercise means now. She didn't exercise, past. So this is the difference. Last one, you plus cook. My verb is cook. I have to answer the question because I'm out of time. So the answer here is cooked. Cooked. You cooked. So cooked is a regular verb. We use the ed ending with regular verbs. Cook is a regular verb. You cooked. You cooked is the answer. Good. Okay. I have to quickly end with the last 2 points for today's lesson. So I'm going to continue on to simple future tense. Simple future tense. There are 2 points I really wanted to talk about, but I won't be able to talk about them all. So if you have questions about this point, or this point, please check the YouTube channel or EnglishClass101.com. There's a special sale too on the website, 45% off on subscriptions, so check that out. But I'll quickly introduce this point and then we'll finish for today. Okay, so where's my black marker? What did I do with it? It's over here. Okay, so here I have simple future tense. There are 2 points I want to talk about with simple future tense. They are will and won't, and going to and not going to. What's the difference? We use will, again, on this diagram, this point, this star right here, is now, the present, right now, watching this lesson. Here's the future. This is going to the future. This is my past. We use will and won't when we make a decision during the conversation. For example, okay, now I'll take a break, or now I'll use the red marker. I just decided that in the conversation. We use won't, the negative form, will not, in the same way. Like conversely then, in contrast, going to and not going to. We use these for things we're sure about, 100% plan in the future. So I'll write this on the board. So decisions made in the conversation. I will, I won't do something. Going to and not going to are 100% certain. Certain means we're sure. We know we want to do that thing. 100% certain and decided before the conversation. So that's what this dotted line means. This refers to something, some like conversation you had before the present time. You talked to somebody before, you emailed somebody before, and you decided before your conversation what to do. So that's when we use going to and not going to talk about that. So I can't talk about all of these points because I have talked too much about the other 2 points. We'll finish there for now. But as I said, there are long, like 10 or 15 minute lessons about these 3 grammar points on the English Class 101 YouTube channel and at the website, the EnglishClass101.com website. So please, please, please check those videos and those lessons for more information about these 3 grammar points. They're very, I think, useful for everyday life. So please do check that out. I have to finish today's lesson though. So as I said, yes, there is a special sale on the website. You can find the information from the description below the video on YouTube or above the video on Facebook. So please take a look at that. I hope that it's helpful for anybody who is interested. And if you have questions, please send them in the chat because I check the chat after every live stream lesson. So please send your questions along in the live stream chat and I will try to answer somehow. But I have to finish today's lesson. We will be back next week. As always, next week's topic will be the everyday use of present perfect tense. So a lot of you ask about how to use present perfect tense. So for next week's lesson, I'm going to focus on ways we use present perfect tense just in our everyday lives. So I'll introduce a lot of stuff related to that next week, January 16th. That is Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, New York City time. Please Google your local time zone if you don't know it. So that will be next week's lesson. But please do check out the sale if you are interested. This could be a good chance to start the new year. And please do review these grammar points. Check out our videos for more about these grammar points and other things too. So we'll finish there for today. Thank you everybody for sending your questions and for sending lots of example sentences and answers in the chat. That was awesome. That was really cool. So we'll be back next week. Thank you so much for liking and sharing the video. We always really appreciate it. Enjoy your week, enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.